Happy Friday, everyone. We have to start out with a celebration. Are you ready? Lillian, happy anniversary. Well, the confetti just keeps coming. I'm going to send you a Torte sticker, because Torte is all about love. So, sticker for Lillian. Happy anniversary. 21 years. That's amazing. Congratulations. I hope you're doing something fabulous to celebrate your anniversary. And who else is excited for Gilmore Girls fandom all weekend long? We're gonna go back to Stars Hollow. I have my Torte mug with me today, but I should have my Luke's Diner mug with me. I can't wait. I feel like I just need to go crawl upstairs into our bedroom, shut the door. The boys can go do whatever they want for the rest of the weekend, and I'll just binge the entire season all over again. Who's with me? Raise your hand. Hit a like if you're down with that idea. I would also love to know what else you have on the agenda for the weekend. I'm not really sure. My weekend, the last few weekends have been kind of booked in terms of activities, but not so much. Anna loves the Gilmore Girls. Who doesn't love the Gilmore Girls? The Gilmore Girls are just what we need right now, honestly. Let's be real. Oh, the tech guy Fonda is going to look up the name of the song. It's Cody something, right? Yeah, it's Cody. I actually added it. I have a playlist for all of my characters. So I have a Bakeshop Mystery playlist, and I added it to the playlist just a few weeks ago after we had been having our lives together. And now every time I'm writing, when it comes on, I'm like, oh, hey. So sweet. It's a Rare Love. Rare Love by Cody Francis. You can find him on Spotify. And I don't get kickbacks from him. He's just part of our music subscription collection that we have going on. Yay. You're hosting your first Zoom Girls weekend. I love that. What do you do on a Zoom Girls weekend? Is there wine involved? Is there coffee? You're running a virtual 5K and half marathon while audiobooking. Oh, wow, that's impressive. Our son is a long distance runner, and he doesn't listen to anything when he goes on these long, 12, 13-mile runs. And I'm always like, don't you want to listen to music or something? No, but audiobooks, that's a great idea. Love it. Quilting, Helen's quilting. You're getting away with your husband for the weekend. I love that. Crocheting, it's going to be chilly. Oh, very nice. Mona's heading to the beach. Scrapbooking. Oh, everybody has great weekends booked. I'm excited for you. I believe Patty had asked while we were doing the countdown about the fire cleanup here in the Rogue Valley. And at some point in time, maybe over the weekend, there was a very long, lengthy piece that one of the news stations did about the fire, about its aftermath, kind of about where things stand. So I thought I would share that. I'm also planning some kind of a tie-in fundraiser once we get into the holiday season. I'm working on that now because I'd love to find a way to continue to give back. But cleanup efforts have begun. It's quite a process. There's an entire crew of volunteers who come in, and there was a big article in yesterday's paper about the fact that these sites are really dangerous because it's all of it's houses and buildings and businesses that burn. So there's asbestos, and so it's quite a process. And there's still so many families who are in temporary housing. So one of the short-term goals of the community is trying to figure out, where there's space for more, not necessarily permanent, but more solid housing, especially going into winter. So that's definitely been top of my mind. In fact, I am getting ready to bring a big donation again this weekend. So it's definitely an ongoing issue, and it's going to be years really of rebuilding is the reality. I had coffee with a friend earlier this week, and she's like, is this going to work its way into the next book? And I said, absolutely not. At some point in time, I'm sure I will want to write about it, but it's too soon and it's too raw, and we're right in the middle of it. So, but thank you for asking. And I'm happy to say that recovery efforts are beginning, but I think the reality of the crisis has worn off, that temporary crisis of there's literally fire here and everything burned, to now it's how do you start that process? So yay. Okay, so today I thought we would talk about Torte a little bit. We've been so focused on my Sloan collaboration, which has been so much fun, and we're almost done with it. But I got to send some love out to Torte, especially because As we speak, I am writing book 14. Can you believe that? Book 14 of the series. And so my mind is fully immersed back in Torte. The whole team's there. The team keeps expanding. If you're newer to the series, just wait. There are many more quirky characters who are going to be part of the cast. So I thought it would be fun to share some things you may or you may not know about Torte. And I have some fun Torte stickers like the one Lily Ann just won to give away, and maybe something else special Torte-ish. So be sure to participate in the comments, because the tech guy will just choose a random person, and you'll hear that little celebratory bell. Fonda, you just pre-ordered book 13. Yay! Book 13 comes out next June. Book 12, we'll have a full dozen, comes out in December, chilled to the cone. Then book 13, so I'm writing book 14 as we speak, which will come out December 2021. Isn't that crazy how far out we are on that? Yeah. Okay, so without further ado, let's get to 5 things you might not know about Torte. Number 1 is its location. So, as I take a drink from my Torte cup, Ashland, as you know, is a real place. And when I first started writing the Bakeshop Mysteries, I was not living in Ashland. I had spent years and years coming down here because my dad taught Shakespeare. I'm sure many of you are like, yeah, we've heard this story. When I started writing the series, I knew I wanted to set it in sort of like that quintessential village. And Ashland is just perfect for that, because the downtown plaza is really a sweet, charming village. So the location that I imagine Torte to be is where a real bake shop actually sits, called Mix. So Mix sits, oh, there it is. This is the plaza right here. So in the center, across the street from Mix, is the center little area where you find the Lithia bubblers with that terrible sulfur water. And then catty corner across the way would be the dreaded Richard Lord's Merry Windsor Hotel. And then the opposite way, pointing behind where I am in that picture, is the police station. And that's all really real. So this is like physically where I imagine Torte to be. But Torte ultimately is really an amalgam of so many different bakeries and pastry shops that I have had the pleasure of visiting over the years. And that's part of the research. You know, I get to go to these places, and this is the inside of Mix. So that's their sweet little coffee bar. And this is the basement. So you have an open kitchen in the basement. So that was definitely part of my inspiration, was this idea that when customers come in, they could see Jules and Helen baking away in the kitchen. Now, when the series first starts, that's upstairs. And then as the series develops, this isn't really a spoiler, so don't worry if you're not to this stage yet, but at some point in time, Torte's gonna expand down to the basement. And so in real life, Mix's kitchen is in the basement. And I mean, you know, you go downstairs and you're just like engulfed in these amazing smells of pastry. But really, over the years, I've gone to so many pastry shops, coffee shops, and I've just gotten to pull in pieces from each of them to kind of make my own version of Torte in my head. So it's not necessarily based on one specific place, but more a lot of places. And then as a bonus, oh, this is my friend Cafe X, who's done my Torte coffee. That's their coffee shop up in Vancouver. So beautiful. So yeah, like I love getting to take pieces of real life and, you know, pull them into some fiction. I had the opportunity to go see a real culinary school at work. This is the Culinary Institute at Clark College. And so I got to see behind the scenes and meet with their pastry team and their chefs and figure out what kind of projects the students do, interview students, which was so helpful because I really want Torte and the baking to feel so real and authentic. And obviously, Juliet went to pastry school in New York, and so she had this experience of being in a true pastry kitchen, which I absolutely love. It's the best. Plus, you know, usually when I'm on these research trips, pastry chefs are very generous about offering tastings, which is not such a problem, really. Okay, so moving on. Dun, 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 dun. Number 2, let's talk about the logo. This is the second thing you may or may not know about Torte. This is Torte's logo. It's so sweet. That blue and red and the little filigree. And then if you look closely, you may or may not know this, there's actually like a single layer torte on the bottom, which this is my favorite torte of all time. My dad makes a flourless chocolate torte with almonds that is to die for. I request it for my birthday every year. When I was first kind of sketching out the series and I was down in Ashland visiting and thinking about kind of the theme for the books and the series and the vibe of the bake shop, I went back and forth with a lot of bakery names. And in an earlier episode of 5 Things Friday, I shared some of them. It was like cakes and ale. I have a whole sheet of potential names that didn't end up landing, but Torte just felt right because it does have that more Shakespearean English kind of elevated. You know, you'd have a torte on Great British Bake Off, right? Am I right on that? Yeah. So I landed on the name and I landed on the color scheme. I did a lot of research into Shakespeare and color schemes, and red and blue were these royal colors. So I thought, okay, like we've got Torte, we've got this idea of royal colors. Now I need a logo. So I happen to have a good friend who is a freelance designer. And I said to her, and this is literally like the first book was not even close to finished. This was my like initial first draft. I had sold the first 3 books in the series based on my book proposal and sample chapters, but I had not actually written the first book yet. And I have talked before about how when I'm writing, I need visuals in my office. So I called my friend and I said, do you think that you could possibly design me a logo for this fictional bake shop that I'm writing about? Which in hindsight is so funny and so fortuitous. I'm glad I did that. So if you're in the middle of writing something creative and you need a visual and you have a friend or you can do it yourself, like by all means do it. Because what ended up happening with this is she designed it. I fell in love with it. I had this, you know, like plastered all over my office. It was just like a touch point and inspiration for me. And then my editor was like, hey, you have a logo for your fictional bake shop for this book that isn't even done? What if we put it in the cover? And lo and behold, tech guy says technical difficulties. It has ended up appearing, well, first of all, it appeared in the very first book in Meet Your Baker. You see it on the window there. It appeared in A Batter of Life and Death. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, that's such like a fall autumnish look, isn't it? Then it appears again in Caught Red-Handed. Oh, it's a little more sinister. We're seeing it from afar. A Cup of Holiday Fear. Look at it hiding behind the wreath there. I love that. Every time a new cover comes out, my friend Liz, who designs it too, is like, oh, I'm still in love with that logo. I'm like, me too, me too. There it is in Nothing But Trouble. It's coming in Mocha, She Wrote. So this is book 13 that comes out next year. I'm so excited about this book. Oh, yeah. And the tech guy's just pointing out to me, do you see how the espresso machine is orange on the counter there? If we look back to that original picture of Mix, when I'm finished with a book, I send the manuscript off to my editor. And then right away, while we're working on titles and everything, one of the first questions that she asks is, what can you suggest for cover ideas? So I will go to places and send in photos like this. So I love it when they take inspiration and then, you know, it comes true there. I also love that the skull is in the steam for the coffee. The original cover art had the skull on the cup and then they changed it to the steam, which I just absolutely love. So great. And then, we have a winner. Amanda Anson, you won a Torte sticker. Yay. Everybody needs a Torte sticker in your life. I don't have my laptop on me, but I have all of my Bakeshop Mystery stickers on the back. Yay, congratulations. Oh, Hannah wants to get the chocolate almond torte recipe. I'll share it. I'll see if I can steal it from my dad. I'm trying to remember if I did a torte test kitchen with my dad on this one. We made Berlin bars together one time when he was down, but I'll find it for you. Okay, let's see. There are a couple other cover art. Oh, and then Chilled to the Cone, which comes out in December. You get double tortes, torte on the window and torte on a little ice cream cart, which could be a teaser about what's to come for book number 12. Yeah, love it.
Actually, 2 more covers it's appeared on that you didn't notice.
Oh, the tech guy is saying it's actually on 2 more covers that I didn't even notice. Okay, I'm ready for this. Oh, A Brunch with Death. So this is our mock-up cover of the collaboration that we did together last spring that the tech guy created for me. Well done, well done. It's hiding on there. I love it. What other one? Oh! So we have started this tradition of some April Fool's covers, which the tech guy also designed. Open and Shut Space. Was this year's or was this 2 years ago? This was 2 years ago. This was the cover, the fake cover for April Fool's Day. I do love the idea of sending Jules into space, but what I loved even more was how many people were like, Jules is going to space? What? Oh dear. I know, Barbara, it's terrible. I'm always hungry, especially right now when I'm working in the middle of a book. I'm just like fully immersed in that world of like, oh, I need to probably go taste what I'm writing about. Yeah. I love all the covers too, Sarah and Lillian. Thank you for that. I can't take any credit for them whatsoever. I mean, like I said, I send ideas. I send ideas about kind of seasons, or for Chilled to the Cone, obviously it's ice cream. So I sent some suggestions about that, but the cover design team at Macmillan is just incredible. The artists, there's a cover artist who sketches it out first. So my editor will send me the pencil sketches. So that's the first thing I see. And then it gets a digital enhancement, obviously. And sometimes the color changes too. Originally for Chilled to the Cone, it was kind of like a light pale yellow, and we switched it to a blue. So it's really fun to see how the cover designs evolve over time too, but I personally cannot take any credit for them. I'm terrible at it. I want a torte cookbook too, trust me. The way that I want a torte cookbook though is I don't just want all of the recipes as they are in the back. I want to partner with like one of my professional pastry chef friends to bring you a torte cookbook that looks like a Great British Baking Show cookbook, you know, like a Mary cookbook or a Mary Berry or a Paul Hollywood cookbook or Jamie Oliver. I want just like beautiful pictures because that's my aesthetic for torte. I can't actually make them happen in real life, which is kind of a good segue. We're going to talk about that. Okay, so moving on to my number 3. The third thing that you may or may not know about torte is that I have pulled my inspiration for this series from real life pastry chefs, cake artists, and cookiers. That was a new term that I learned last year, actually. I'm glad you love the cover design. That's awesome. So over the years, I have had so many muses when it comes to pastry. I've been so fortunate, and I just love the fact that anytime I call someone and say, could I just come watch you for an afternoon? Can I take notes? Can I take some pictures? Can you teach me what you know? That I have just been welcomed in to the pastry community with open arms. And I've gotten to partner with some incredible people over the years who all, again, kind of like at the beginning, how I talk about, you know, mix that really is here in Ashland. And if you come to Ashland, you should definitely try it, is physically kind of where I imagine torte, but torte is really all of these other people, or places, I should say, mixed into one. The same is true for Jules. Jules obviously has little pieces of me inside of her, but she also is this mashup of so many amazing real life pastry chefs who I've met. I mean, come on, who does culinary like that? Is that not beautiful? This is at the Culinary Institute at Clark College. I didn't want to leave. I'm pretty sure they had to pry me away because I'm like, can I just stay a little longer? And these are all students. Look, this is what students are doing. That's amazing. That's some of their finished product. This was for the release party of Live and Let Pie. We actually hosted it at the Culinary Institute. So I did a talk with the head pastry chef and the Clark College Foundation, and then readers got to sample treats made by the students, and they got to take a tour of the whole school and see the students at work. It's amazing. So cool. Over the years, for my launch parties, which of course now we're doing like this because of the times that we're living in, but typically I would partner with a variety of pastry chefs who would make these masterpieces. And then at the end of the night, at the end of the party, readers would walk home with those beauties, which again, I was like, is it rude for me to just stalk whoever won out to the car and say, like, can I come to your house and try a slice of that delight? This was Rosy Cakes up in Vancouver. And look at those sugar cookie snowflakes at the top. This was one of the cake tables for the release party of On Thin Icing. And so different cake designers took their own inspiration from each of the books to create what they thought it might represent. That one that you see next to the snowflakes is like a chocolate s'mores cake with toasted marshmallows on the top. I mean, oh my goodness. This is Chrissy from Tier, and she has been such an incredible inspiration to me over the years. We met early on, and through a variety of launch parties, press would come out and interview her. She taught me how you actually cut a real cake. So many of the details that get worked into the series are all true. All of the research that goes into, maybe the proper way to ice a cake, the steps involved where you would crumb coat and then put it in the fridge and then do a second coat. All of that is based on my real life research and connections with these incredible pastry chefs who I've gotten to meet over the years. The dangerous part is I have enough knowledge to be dangerous, but not enough to have their skills. So I can talk a good game. I can work it in to the bake shop, and you will hopefully walk away going, oh, okay, now I know how to cut a wedding cake, or, now I know how to evenly tier a cake. But if I try to do it in real life, my skills never match theirs whatsoever. Melinda, wasn't that an amazing release party? Yeah, that's awesome. And then the other thing over the years is getting to expand my knowledge of pastry chefs and also cookie artists. And this is one that the tech guy threw in. This was his birthday cake a few years ago made by Chrissy from Tier. Look at those tiers inside. I think it was like a banana caramel with chocolate and a buttercream. A Star Wars mashup. So cute. Little Chewbacca, Princess Leia, Darth Vader. It is sinfully delicious, isn't it, Alma? I know. It's dangerous research, I'm telling you. And then this is Mrs. Card's Cakes, who is here in the Rogue Valley. And she is who I learned that there's a whole term for cookier. We partnered last year for a cup of holiday fear, and I got to go into her studio and learn how to make these incredible cookies that are really like art. Who wants to bite into that? Oh, so I wonder if you can guess which one was mine versus which one was hers. Which just goes to prove that I can write about things, but my skills don't always translate. Although I will say that it is pretty amazing. I took a cookie decorating class, the tech guy and I did together from her, and we ended up with some incredible cookies that I didn't want to eat because they were so beautiful, which is saying a lot. If you can teach me how to do that, then anyone can. Marla, I love the research too. In fact, sometimes I can spend way too much time on the research, but I do feel like my goal is that when you walk away from one of these reads, you feel immersed in a real bake shop in Torte. And all of these pastry chefs have helped me with that. And I'm not kidding. I have learned so much over the years that I feel like I could play a fake chef on TV or something. How's that? Yours looks better than my own cookie. Yeah, I did improve after that. This was pre-taking the class. So after we took the class, I was that much better. Oh yeah, I did a video. That's right, Reba. If you want to check out any of my videos, that I did a video with Mrs. Cards on YouTube last year, and there's a whole series on my YouTube channel that you can go watch of me actually spending time with these true artists in real life. So good. Okay, moving on. Dun, 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 dun. We're on number 4. Okay, real details about Ashland. This is another thing that you may or may not know about Torte in this series. Just like Mix being a tangible spot on the plaza where I've set the series, just like seeing these visuals from real pastry chefs, I try to work in real details about Ashland in all of the books in the series. And that goes from every level. I never have a problem coming up with ideas or stories. So for example, in Nothing But Trouble, the book that just came out last spring, it's a flashback to the 1980s. And in the book, Torte is getting the first espresso machine in the entire Rogue Valley in the 1980s. This was pre-Starbucks being on like every other corner, right? I think Starbucks might have just been starting in Seattle at the time, but coffee was not a thing. You were drinking your Folgers at home. No one was thinking they were going to spend $2 or $3, can you imagine now, on a latte. So ABC Bakery was the name of the bakery here in Ashland, who my friends actually owned, and they got the first espresso machine in all of the Rogue Valley. So it was this huge, amazing launch for people to come in and be able to get a latte or an espresso, and it really kind of changed coffee culture here. And so who do we have? We have Hannah Weatherford. Hannah Weatherford, you won a Torte sticker too. Congratulations. Hannah. So I love getting to work that into Nothing But Trouble, that if you read the book, you'll know that Torte, of course, gets the first espresso machine in the 1980s. So now you know that's really true. The same is true for acts of nature even. In 1997, this is the plaza. There was a major flood in 1997 that shut the entire plaza down. All of downtown Ashland, as you see here, flooded. At the end of the corner right there is where Torte would be. And then it happened again in 2015. So this is that very first picture where I'm standing on the corner. This is the floodwaters in 2015. A thunderstorm rolled in. It was summer. In fact, we had just been in town for a research tour, and 2 days later, the plaza flooded. And I have an old article that I wanted to read you a little bit of, because if you've read the series, you'll recognize some of the details from this, with Torte having some initial flooding problems. Okay, here we go. This is from 2015, Wednesday, July 8th, 2015. Ashlanders spent Wednesday morning mopping and shoveling mud, calling insurance agents after a gully washer of a summer thunderstorm lashed the valley with a spectacular display of lightning and dumped 1.6 inches of rain, slamming into the Oregon Shakespeare Festival and plaza shops. Trees were blown down, basements were soggy, and flash flooding in 2 feet deep roared through the plaza and into the basement of Mix, which had to be evacuated. It broke our front door, said Mix owner as she dried out appliances on the calle. We had to be out of there quickly because there are 260 amps of power, and we were afraid people would be electrocuted. Okay, so that's all true, which is one of the things that I find so enjoyable about writing a series that's based on a real place, because there's always material to choose from. And sometimes I think when I'm writing stories like this, people will be like, "Oh, that's too unbelievable," but many times my storylines are based on a real idea. And then, of course, I spin them up into murder. Somebody would have gotten electrocuted in the basement if it were Torte, and it probably would have been some horrible villain like, I don't know, Richard Lord's long lost cousin or something. Yeah, can you believe that, Lori? This is Ashland Springs Hotel, and it has been featured in a variety of books. In Fudge and Jury, the chocolate festival is hosted there. And then in Nothing But Trouble, we flash back to it in its early days in the 1980s when it was called the Mark Anthony. And because Ashland is such a beautiful, charming place, I don't always have to stretch my imagination that far to be able to bring you a glimpse into what it really looks like, which is very fun. Oh, and then for A Cup of Holiday Fear, the Winchester Inn really does, for anyone who's read that book. If you haven't read that book, you might want to get a copy of it soon, because I think coming up after we get past Halloween and Thanksgiving, it's the perfect season to read a holiday escape. And so in A Cup of Holiday Fear, Jules and her staff go and have a celebratory dinner at the Dickens Feast at the Winchester Inn. And the Dickens Feast is a real, amazing, authentic feast. And Santa comes by everyone's table and gives you a personalized ornament. And that's all featured in the book. And I can tell you right now, if you're watching, kids, Santa's real. I met him here in Ashland at the Winchester. He's very happy and jovial too. Okay. Oh, yes. Here's another one. I promised this after our last live. This is downtown Ashland for the annual Halloween parade, which sadly is probably not going to happen this year. Maybe we'll do it virtually somehow. I don't know. Last year I was A Cup of Holiday Fear for the parade, but as you can see, that's just like a tiny sliver of people lining up in front of the library, getting ready to parade down Main Street to the plaza where the parade ends. And then there's just like one big giant street party for the night. I have not yet worked Halloween into the series, but I have some ideas for that for the future. So stay tuned. I don't know, maybe book 16 or 17, we'll have to send Jules and our crew in costume out to trick-or-treat in the mean streets of Ashland. The thing that I love about A Halloween Story is that everybody is already dressed up. So there'd be so many ways that you could have suspects, you know, hiding in costume in plain sight. Fonda, you got married at the Winchester? Oh, how amazing. You're going to have to share photos. The Winchester is beautiful inside. It's a historic house that sits at the top of the hill. I'm blanking on what street it's on now. Second? No, that's not right. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But it also has these beautiful outdoor gardens. So in the summer, it's a great place to go sit outside and have like a late afternoon cocktail or lunch or, yeah. Renee, don't you think we need a Halloween story? Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I'm telling you, this is like a scene from, I don't know, like a Hallmark version of Halloween. Like everyone in town, 20,000 people dress up and parade down the street. Kids, men and women in their 80s, like you name it, everyone in between, and everyone goes all out for Halloween. Yeah, Cheryl, isn't that great? The tech guy and our kiddo made that for me. It was a total surprise. The foam head was kind of hard to navigate because it was heavy, but it was great. All right. Oh, yeah. And then, you know, this is just a little shot of the top of the plaza from Fall, which I think, again, is one of the things that I try to weave into Torte and the series, that it's such a lush, gorgeous setting, in addition to kind of the charm and the Elizabethan vibe and the community spirit that you find in the plaza. The actual surrounding mountains and Lithia Park are just stunning any time of the year. I really hope that post-fire too, that people aren't afraid of coming back. Like, please come back to Ashland and the Rogue Valley. We're going to need you more than ever in the years to come once travel can happen again. And you don't just have to come for Shakespeare. I mean, that's an amazing experience, but there's so much to do in the surrounding Rogue Valley. So, yay. Okay, moving on. Last but not least, the recipes. At number 5, the recipes from Torte. Oh, the recipes. So, as you know now from our chat today, I have been able to spend a lot of time with professional pastry chefs, and some of that knowledge has seeped into my brain. My talent is not decorating. I'm not artistically talented. In fact, I have a weekly game group, And yesterday we played Pictionary. We're playing outside and we're trying to figure out like ways to still play games and be socially distanced. So we've had to get creative about that. Yesterday we decided on Pictionary. We got a big outdoor dry erase board. We each had our own pens, our own erasers, so we could all stay apart and still play Pictionary. And I can barely do a stick figure. So, you know, some of those cakes that you saw would not be my skill set. However, I love to bake. I love to cook. I talk about food being a love language for Jules and the team at Torte. It is a love language for me. It always has been. In fact, I was going through paperwork a few weeks ago and I found an old project from my high school honors English class. We read Lord of the Flies. And we had to do a final project that was some sort of visual display of the book. And so this would have been early 1990s, right? Long before Instagram and like beautiful bakes or anything like that. And I went to my English teacher and I said, can I make a cake to represent Lord of the Flies? And so I remember I wish I had a picture. I made a chocolate cake and, you know, put on like some island rocks and some blood for the pig somewhere. I didn't actually love Lord of the Flies as a book, so I'd love to hear your comments on that. It didn't resonate. I'm glad I read it, but it's not my favorite. But anyway, even in high school, I was already thinking like, oh, my medium is going to be cake, even though I didn't have the like baking talent to make it happen. So I have grown up in the kitchen with both my parents. My mom was a prolific baker. My dad, still to this day, is a baker and a chef extraordinaire. So usually what happens with the recipes is it's whatever is top of mind or whatever I have in front of me. So for example, when I was working on Meet Your Baker, we had a fig tree in our backyard. Look at how pretty those figs are. And so I thought like, I will make something with figs. That would be great. Look at those just delicious figs. Well, I hadn't really baked anything with figs before, and I was going for like an olive oil chocolate fig cake, something that wasn't cloyingly sweet, something that would be kind of Pacific Northwest inspired. Let's just say it was a total bomb. They were grainy. Yeah, my taste testers, who are the tech guy and our son, like they took one bite and they spit them out. Of course, this particular fig cake, I don't have a picture of the final product because I think we were all grossed out by it, but I had made them in these cute little ramekins and dusted them with powdered sugar and cocoa. So they actually looked really pretty. They were one of my better bakes and they tasted horrible. So there's a lot of that goes on when I'm working on a recipe. This is from Live and Let Pie. I made 31 days of pies before Live and Let Pie came out. And so I tested a ton of recipes and sometimes they turn out beautiful, like this chicken pot pie. So I'll spend a lot of time in the kitchen just playing around with recipes. I want all of the food in the series, whatever Jules is making at Torte, should match the season or the tone of the book. So for example, for Fudge and Jury, there was a lot of chocolate. This is a recipe that I was testing for Live and Let Pie because it was summer, it was outdoor picnics. So the food always mirrors kind of the theme of the book. And then a lot of it is just top of mind. When I started, it was family recipes because, like I said, baking and being in the kitchen has always been part of our family tradition. And then sometimes it'll just be as I'm in the middle, like right now I'm working on book 14, like I told you, whatever pops into mind might end up in a first draft. And then I'll go back through in a second or third draft and go, okay, she's baking what? Can I bake that? I don't know, maybe. And then I'll give it a try in the kitchen. If it's a bomb like the figs, it doesn't make it into the book. If it's a success, it does. And then sometimes I will have a family recipe in mind, you know, where this is my dad, who is the inspiration for the professor. He really does quote Shakespeare all the time when we're in the kitchen, when we're not in the kitchen. Oh yeah, your father always says food is love. It is love. I totally agree with that sentiment. We are baking my dad's famous Berlin bars here. So sometimes I'll have an idea like, oh, I know this recipe that I want to include for sure. So that'll kind of be like a showpiece for a particular book, or it might help set the tone for a book. But there are a lot of recipes, too many to count, that have not made the final cut that I know you want. And I have a secret in store for the holidays with that. So that's my little teaser for you. There might be that coming. Oh, and then here's our taste tester. Sometimes recipes are winners. This was a fluffernutter sandwich that I think ended up in Live and Let Pie. I can't remember what book it's in, but this one was a keeper. So it's always fun. My neighbors are taste testers too. Sometimes they get real tired after like 4 or 5 tries of something, like, all right, just give up. No, they're always great. So the recipe part is definitely not only fun, but also just so sensory for me. It gives me a break from being in my brain. But as you can see, my recipes don't always, or my final product doesn't always look as professional, but they always taste good. Anything that ends up in the final book, I guarantee is going to taste good. That's where I'm at with that. Okay, let's see. So that tastes good. right as I'm ending. Okay. Tina Diamond, you get a Torte sticker too. If you want a sticker today at the end of the live, once we're done, message me, send me a private message. Don't put it in the comments. Send me a private message with your mailing address and I will mail them out to you. Okay, good. Let's see. So, questions before we go. He's the tech guy can't keep up with you. You're all too fast. It's crazy. Christmas, yes, pie making, so many good things. I do need to announce before we wrap up or I answer any last questions. We did a giveaway for my Cupcakes of Doom. The tech guy made his own spinning wheel. Woohoo, so cute. And little matching cupcake picks, as well as a signed copy of Beyond a Reasonable Stout. That was all part of the earlier in the week giveaway for my fun, disgusting cupcakes. Pickle juice with pistachio pudding. I don't recommend it, not at all. Anyway, the winner for that giveaway is Marie Owen. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce your middle name. Richmond, Marie Owen Richmond. I will make sure to post this on the page as well, but you won. So you also should send me a message with your mailing address. Okay, good. Let's see. So coming up next, I have Tuesday, we will do our next live. That will be our second to last of the Sloan Krause story collaboration. So that'll be Tuesday at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And then next Friday, my friend Leslie Budowitz will be here with me at 10 a.m. Pacific Time. So stay tuned for those. Otherwise, I hope you have a fantastic weekend. And I don't know about you, but Gilmore Girls will be involved for sure, as will perhaps some reading and some baking. Have a great weekend.